Paul Sluznis. I'm now the president of PMIM Ministries, and I'll just give you a little rundown of who I am and where I came from, if you didn't know. I was in the military for 20 years. I was in the infantry. It's all I ever wanted to do, and I loved it, and I'd do it all over again.
Move over towards
Microphone.
I don't like the microphone.
Yeah, but everybody else likes it, so they can hear you.
I don't care.
You don't talk loud enough.
When I got out of the service, I actually got out because I came home from Iraq. They stop-lossed me, and they were going to send me to Afghanistan immediately. And I didn't want to go because my body was busted, and I had been through enough stuff over there that I was done. And unbeknownst to me, my mom found out about it, and she wrote some congressman, and I was out in 10 days. And I didn't know why I was out so fast until about a year ago. And so thanks, Mom. Anyway, when I got home, I thought I didn't have any issues, and it probably took a little over a year before the wheels came off my bus. And it was crazy. I mean, it went straight downhill, and basically, to make a long story short, I was on the edge of the bed with a gun in my mouth, and my wife walked in the door, and if she hadn't walked in the door, the moment she did, I wouldn't be here today. And he kind of touched on it, and my wife was calling them, and then I was talking to Dana, and the PTSD program in Topeka, Kansas was an option for me, but the waiting list was over, what was it, 90 days, something like that. Yeah, it was a long time, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to wait, and I didn't want to wait, and we were praying really hard, and we got a phone call the next morning saying somebody dropped out. Can you come? And I jumped on a plane, and I was there, and between Dana, you two, and you two, that program saved my life, literally. And it made me a better person for it. And it's helped me deal with other people that have gone through a lot of stuff that I've gone through. And when I got home, I started going to an outpost, Jerry Keene in Vancouver, Washington, and didn't participate in a lot of it because I was the only Iraqi guy. Everybody else was Vietnam or Korea, and I got a lot of flack for not fighting in a real war. And that didn't last too long. A couple of the guys said, hey, why don't we start an outpost closer to where we live? And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds good, let's do it. Well, I didn't realize they were suckering me into being the outpost leader. I thought we were all doing it together. So anyway, got into doing that, and I haven't looked back since. And it's a small world. When I met Dana in person, he was in a conference, and I was in a conference with Jerry Keene, took me to it in Oregon. Tom Birdsong held it. And we were sitting out there in the pews, and Dana's talking about this story in Iraq of this kid and who had died. And the more he started telling this story, the more I'm like, man, that sounds like something I went through. And come to find out, it was his neighbor kid that he's known all his life, who was in a firefight and was killed and was left by his squad leader, who panicked, and they left him. And I was on QRF, and I heard the whole thing on the radio, and the battalion commander called us, and he said, you guys need to go get him. And so we fought our way back up and recovered this kid's body. And I didn't know that he knew this child. I mean, the guy he was quite a bit younger than me. I was 36 when I went to war. And anyway, we brought him back, and he came home, and then we had the conference in Buffalo. and I ended up meeting his parents. That was a tough day too for me, and that was the last thing I ever thought would happen. And I don't know if you know the story about this guy's parents, but she's a train wreck, he's a train wreck. And I remember when we went to your house, and came face to face with them, and just the way that he grabbed me and told me thanks for bringing his son home. And as a matter of fact, I got teary-eyed again today because we saw him when we were over there. And I was like, do you remember me? And he's looking at me, he's like, you're Paul from Vancouver, Washington, aren't you? I was like, yeah. And every time he sees me, that's pretty much how it goes. And then he grabs me and starts crying and won't let go of me. And so, yeah, that happened again today. But anyways, back to the conference, when Dana and I got to talking, and I had told him I wanted to do something like this, and gosh, years and years and years went by, and I ended up being the vice president and didn't do anything but sitting in on meetings, and was kind of like the RCA dog, you know, on the bottom of the TV. That was me. And then it was time, you know, and Tim and I were told that we don't want to do this anymore. And Dana's like, you guys aren't going anywhere. Right? Huh? How many times?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've never tried to quit this ministry, ever.
I actually wrote down the last time, and it was, and then I met Marcus, and didn't realize the relationship he had with Dana was pretty much like mine. And but we met, and I mean, it's just kind of, it's been 7 months, and it's we've done some stuff that I never expected we'd have to do right from the get-go. I mean, weeks after I was voted into office, we had to deal with something that was really crazy that I never expected would happen. But you know, I love this ministry. You know, Tim says the same thing, it saved my life. Well, it saved my life too. And I know that my wife is grateful. She couldn't be here. She works with in a warehouse for homeless people, and gets them off the streets and gets them into homes and stuff. And she had some prior commitments, and I kind of guilted her about not being here. And then sent her pictures last night on the cruise and stuff, and I got a phone call, and she did decide that she did want to be here after the fact. So, but she told me to tell you all hi. Told me to hug you, but it ain't happening.
Go hug yourself.
Yeah.
Hug yourself, you're good.
So I guess I'll let you know what I'm thinking about for this ministry. It's obvious that times are changing. Vietnam era's gone. You guys are still here. You're welcome. You're part of the family. But you know, society's changing. It's more technology advanced. I don't even think they had a computer when you started, did they? You guys were still pounding on tablets? But
Chisel hammer.
smoke signal.
Smoke signals, yeah.
Stones, just stone.
Yeah. But you know, my vision for this is obviously, you know, let's get more outposts going. But one of the things that, and this is something else I'll share with you. I've had 2 women in my group. One of them was she was a prissy. Okay, she was a pretty young thing. The guys didn't know what to do, didn't know how to talk except gawk. And I tried to prep them for it. It didn't work out well. And she ended up moving to Colorado, and she was only there for 1 meeting. And then there was April, and she was a captain in the Army in the Medical Corps. And she called me and said, I just want to be treated like one of the guys. And I said, well, we'll do our best. And she showed up, and it was like she was just one of the guys. And she went through some stuff that I went through. I was all hopped up on pain medications because of all the surgery and crap that I went through when I got home, and decided I can't do this anymore, so I got off all the pain medications. And she was going through the same thing. Well, the VA decided to take her off of her psych medications cold turkey at the same time. And she went to the VA and told them they needed to put her back on it. The doctor said, "Oh, you're fine," and they sent her home, and she killed herself.
Oh,
Man, I miss her. We all do, but I don't ever want to see that happen again, let alone my group, anybody else's group. You know, and I got the story in the 22 pin, you know, and one suicide's too many.
yep.
One is too many. And I think back on when I almost did what I did, and I never took into consideration anybody else's feelings but my own. And that's how it goes. I mean, that's how close I was. I didn't care about my wife's feelings. I didn't care about my boys' feelings. And, you know, you just care about yourself at the time. I guess in the end, that's how it is, you know, and anyway, we lost somebody, and that was tough. And I'm actually really good friends with her daughter now, and Carmen. And I tried to get her to do a lawsuit, but she's still in mourning. It's been 4 years now, I think, and so I won't pursue that with her anymore. But yeah, that was a tough day going to speak at her memorial service. And anyway, she was one of the guys, and she will be missed. But going into what women right now are per capita the highest that are entering the military right now. There's more women going into any of the services than men are right now. And there are now women that are infantry company commanders, which, if you're a grunt, knuckle dragger, whatever you want to call yourself, we never ever would have thought we saw that. And I guarantee you that every one of us said, I would never fight alongside a woman. Well, I know you did, and I know I did in Iraq, and was quite impressed with the way that they performed, and was shocked that they actually put them in the field. And but you know, after seeing it, and you know, I've been there, done that with one on a numerous occasions. I do it in a heartbeat over some guys that I served with. And anyways, women are going into the service per capita more than men. There are more homeless women veterans right now on the streets than ever before, and there's more women on the streets right now that are homeless than men. And they go through the same things that we go through. They have the same issues that we go through, and they don't want to talk about it. And so my thinking in all of this is we need to raise up more women within PMIM ministries as outpost leaders in leadership to be able to talk to a woman about the stuff that she's going through. And I've talked to a couple of you this weekend about it, and I posed the question like this: would a woman talk to me about military sexual trauma, or would she talk to you? What do you think the answer is? They'd talk to another woman about it. Just like a guy would probably talk to me about it, opposed to another woman outpost leader. So that's something I think we really need to work on, is raising up women within PMIM ministries as outpost leaders, and you know, bring more of them into our fold. And I'm very adamant about this because, you know, they served this country just like we did, and now they're getting shot at and killed and losing limbs just like all of us did. So, you know, that's something that I think we really need to do. Another thing that I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You
Your name's Paul, you're the president of Columbia.
Huh?
What
What did,